Hello and welcome back to Lunch Break Heroes for the final episode of our Ravenloft Companion series. Today we're going to be talking about Rudolf van Richten, NIKOLAI WACHTER, Father DONAVICH, and ZUKEIKATORANESCU. First up, we have Rudolf van Richten, also known as RICTAVIO, the Carnival Master. He's here in Barovia under the guise of this Carnival Master so that Strahd doesn't outright catch him and murder him. So part of your party's journey is to unmask RICTAVIO or gain his trust so that he reveals his true identity. So what is Rudolf's motivation in all of this? Well, he's here to kill Strahd. Rudolf van Richten is probably the most famous monster hunter in all of the domains of Dread, and he's here in Barovia on business. Now, how do you gain his trust and have him include you in that business? Well, once you have gotten him to reveal his true identity or tricked him into it, you can gain his trust simply by informing him that Madame Ava has sent you and proving to him that she has revealed his destiny. Now, as suspicious and distrustful as he is of most Vistani, he puts some weight behind Madame Ava's words. If he knows that you are instrumental to him completing his mission, well, he's gonna let you travel with him. That's right, I said let you travel with him, not the other way around. So what are the pros and cons of having Rudolf van Richten as an ally? Well, on the pro side, we have the fact that he is a very accomplished monster hunter. He's got an impressive array of skills that he is proficient in. In addition to that, he's got a wealth of knowledge about the forces of darkness because he's been fighting them for decades. So if you want to know anything about any single monster in Barovia, he's the guy to ask, especially vampires. In addition, Rudolf came to Barovia prepared for the job that he is about to do. In our guides, we modified Van Richten's tower to include a whole bunch of monster hunting supplies that he has stashed on the first floor. His protege Esmeralda has only added to that stash. So if you can get in good with Van Richten or Esmeralda, you can gain access to that stash and, gain the upper hand on killing some monsters. Van Richten also carries a scroll of Raised Dead, which makes him one of the few sources of resurrection in all of Barovia. It's either him, or the Abbot, or one of the Dark Powers. And if I had a choice between those three, I know which one I'd want. Over on the con side, we have the fact that Strahd is actively hunting for Van Richten. He knows this monster hunter is in town, he just doesn't know where he's at. And unlike your party, whom Strahd is toying with and he wants to see what they can do, Strahd just wants to capture Van Richten and torture him to death. So traveling with Rudolf really paints a big target on your party's back. On top of that, Rudolf carries a pretty hefty curse on his shoulders. This is the curse that was bestowed upon him by Esmeralda's mother, who may or may not be a Vistani, depending upon which book you read first. This curse dooms Van Richten to have anybody he grows close to die. So he's very reticent to travel with anybody, lest he grow close to them and have them kick the bucket for one reason or another. Now, if your party travels with him, he's going to remain aloof and distant, but that doesn't mean that the curse won't strike. Before we move on to the next ally, I want to point something out to you. The deck of many quests is available on Indiegogo.com. You can get our first product today. The digital version is available and ready to be used. The physical version will ship around the August and September timeframe. This is a quest building system based around cards. We've got 200 cards in every deck. You draw a quest card. It gives you a prompt with Mad Lib style blanks here that you can fill in with creatures and items. We've got 200 cards. You can build basically any quests. The deck itself creates over 200,000 unique quests. You add in some imagination and that number is infinite. So go ahead and check that out. We've got some great reviews for you. I'll link one down in the description below. I want to hear what you think about it. If you have purchased the deck of many quests, or if you want to, go ahead and let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. Next up we have Nikolai WACHTER, the patriarch of the WACHTER family in Vallaki. Nikolai is one of the allies that is dead when you first meet him, and unlike a lot of the undead allies, Nikolai is actually stone cold dead. Nikolai died some time ago. I honestly can't remember if the cause was specified in the book. I don't think it was. But his wife Fiona has cast a gentle repose spell on his body, and she's been sleeping next to him ever since. And you thought Strahd was going to be the creepiest thing in this book, but no, Fiona takes the cake. Now, assuming your party can actually resurrect Nikolai, what is his motivation behind becoming an ally for your party? Well, Nikolai is an enterprising kind of guy. He has his family's interests first and foremost in his heart. And, his family has flourished under Strahd's rule for generations. But Nikolai thinks they could do better. If Strahd wasn't around, they could enhance their business interests and push them forward and whatnot. So he doesn't want Strahd to be Lord of Barovia anymore. He wants somebody else in charge. And maybe your party's the kind of people to help him achieve that. So how do you gain his trust? Well, you probably guessed it, you bring him back to life. It's that easy. If you can achieve that and give Nikolai a second chance at achieving his ambitions, he is your patron. So what are the pros and cons of having Nikolai around? Well, on the pro side, there is no richer ally in all of Barovia. Nikolai is freaking loaded. If you need money, he's got it. If you want to buy something, it's yours. Money is no object for Nikolai, and if something is priceless, chances are he's got the connections to figure out how to get it for you, no matter what it is. So he can hook your party up. Beyond financial assistance, Nikolai is a political powerhouse. He's got influence all over the place, being one of the wealthiest men in all of Barovia. If he is restored to life, he can probably wrest control from Baron Vlakovich, who is seen as incompetent and annoying, and probably also quell his wife's little book club if you play your cards right. Now, although very few people actually like Nikolai, everybody either respects or fears him, and either one of those emotions is going to open up a lot of doors for your party, especially if Nikolai is physically accompanying them. All he has to do is look at somebody in his imperious manner, and they're basically giving him whatever he wants before they know it. It's how he's gotten everything he has in life, and he can turn that talent towards your party's favor. Over on the con side, we have the fact that Nikolai is basically useless in combat. He's right up there with a few other allies that you don't want to take into a fight. However, his AC of 15 and his parry ability do offer him a little bit of defense. Right along those lines, Nikolai doesn't want to get into a fight. He's already died once, and that's quite enough for a few years, thank you very much. So he's going to try to stay out of fights as much as possible. In fact, he might not actually accompany your party just so he can stay safe. On top of that, Fiona WACHTER probably isn't going to want to bend to her resurrected husband's will. She's been sleeping next to him for God knows how long, and she's been living with him as an idea, as a memory, and maybe a few things that I don't want to mention on camera. But as an actual person, she's just not used to him anymore. So his ambition of overthrowing Strahd really isn't going to sit well with her. And depending upon how much power she has acquired for herself with her little book club, she might not want to deal with her husband's crap anymore. And your party might find themselves in a bit of a marriage spat / political battle / all-out feud. Next up, we have Father DONAVICH, the priest of the Morning Lord in the village of Barovia. DONAVICH's son once went off to join the peasant uprising against Strahd, following in the Mad Mage's footsteps. Obviously, that didn't work out so well because Strahd's still in power, and Doru is a mindless vampire spawn that screams, "Father, I'm starving!" from the Undercroft. If you've read the Village of Barovia chapter of our Raising the Stakes guide, you know that we've put a dark spin on DONAVICH's character in regards to his little, thing with his son. So if you want to have DONAVICH as an ally, I recommend skipping that entirely because it makes DONAVICH a more complex character and a lot more likely to die before the party ever actually gets him as an ally. So what is Father DONAVICH's motivation? Well, now that Doru has come back as a vampire spawn, DONAVICH basically has nothing left to lose. He is determined that no other parent in Barovia should ever see their child become a monster. And prior to this, he didn't have the will to oppose the Lord of Barovia, but now he's ready to throw down. So how do you gain his trust? Well, gaining DONAVICH's trust is a bit of a sad and grisly matter. You see, ever since Doru came back, DONAVICH has been wrestling with his faith in the Morning Lord and his love for his son. He knows that Doru is lost to the light forever. He is now a soulless, monstrous shell, but he cannot bring himself to end his son's existence. If your party can help him do that, and hopefully in a humane fashion, DONAVICH is willing to cast off his vestments, leave the village of Barovia, and travel with you. So what are the pros and cons of having DONAVICH as an ally? Well, first up, he's got some pretty useful spells. One of them is Cure Wounds, making DONAVICH one of the few allies that has any source of healing. In addition to that, he's got Bless and Sacred Flame. Sacred Flame is a reliable source of radiant damage, which can disrupt the healing abilities of vampires. That's super handy. DONAVICH is also a devout follower of the Morning Lord, as if you couldn't guess by, the fact that he's a priest. But by virtue of that, he is sure to know some juicy bits of Barovian lore that can certainly help your party. He'll definitely know something about the Knights of Argynvost, maybe even some rumors of the Amber Temple, if you as the DM are feeling generous. On top of all that, DONAVICH's devoutness to the Morning Lord can open up a lot of doors for your party. He's one of the few priests in the entire valley, so he's well known and respected. If DONAVICH says that your party is on the up and up, the Barovian people are going to trust him, and then they'll trust you guys. Over on the con side, we have the fact that DONAVICH is a pretty fragile fighter. He's not one of those allies that you want to leave on the sidelines or stick in a town somewhere. You actually want to take him with you because of his support spells. But don't put him on the front line, he'll get killed. His Cure Wounds spell is really handy, but it has a range of touch, meaning he's going to have to get in close to the fighting at least some of the time. So be careful and keep an eye on him. Lastly, DONAVICH's sanity and emotional well-being are hanging by a thread. The whole thing with Doru has him racked with guilt, and understandably so. Additionally, he's convinced that this whole adventure is going to be the end for him, one way or another. Either he succeeds in overthrowing Strahd, and then his last purpose in life is gone, or he's going to die in the attempt. So one thing that your party might want to try to do is find an additional purpose for DONAVICH. Give him something to live for beyond the goal of just killing Strahd. Let him see a light at the end of the tunnel. Last up, we have ZUKEIKATORANESCU, the werewolf of the Knight's Children clan. We've gone ahead and renamed that clan because we made a lot of changes to the werewolf den itself. Go ahead and check that video out if you haven't already. Zuleika is, of course, residing in the den, where she bides her time until she can kill the current alpha, Kirill Stoyanovich. Kirill is responsible for locking up Zuleika's mate, Emil Toranescu, because Emil challenged his rule and said, hey, I don't like the fact that you're kidnapping children and turning them into werewolves. So, Emil is now over in Zolenka Pass. We've moved him from Strahd's castle. Go ahead and check out our Zolenka Pass video if you haven't seen it. All of that being said, what is Zuleika's motivation? Well, she believes that Emil is dead. She has no idea that he's just being held prisoner and experimented upon. So she wants to seek revenge. She wants to kill the pack leader, Kirill, and see his lifeblood drain out at her feet. When she's done with that, she wants to go after Strahd and see if even the devil can die. So how do you earn her trust? You help her kill Kirill. Killing the pack leader is out of her reach. She isn't strong enough to do it on her own, and the rest of the pack is too cowed to help her. So if you can swoop in and help her shank Kirill, absolutely, she's with you, and bonus points if she is the one to land the killing blow. So what are the pros and cons of having Zuleika as an ally? On the pro side, she's a werewolf. That makes her one of the apex predators in all of Barovia, second only to Strahd himself by her own estimation. She can put those wolf ears and wolf nose to good use tracking anything throughout the land. As a werewolf, Zuleika is immune to any non-magical weapons that aren't silvered. That means you can barely put a scratch in her. She's basically invulnerable throughout all of Barovia. There's not much that can actually put a dent in Zuleika. This makes her a fantastic tank in combat. On top of that, since all of the werewolves in Barovia are one pack, and Zuleika has a pretty high ranking among them, she can defuse basically any werewolf ambush that your party can walk into. Additionally, she has some sway with the normal wolves in the land. She can't control Strahd's dire wolves, but the regular wolves will lend her an ear and maybe do what she says. On the con side, Zuleika is still a violence-prone kind of person. She may not be as fanatically violent as her brethren, but it's still one of her first go-to responses to any problem. So don't be surprised if Zuleika just outright kills a peasant if she no longer thinks that they're useful. Additionally, if Zuleika's werewolf nature is ever revealed, the people of Barovia are going to be none too happy with your party and Zuleika. You see, the werewolves have terrorized Barovians for generations, and they just don't like them. So they're not going to treat with you, and they're really not going to like her very much. They're liable to run you out of town, if not try to just kill you all with pitchforks and torches. That wraps up all 20 of the Curse of Strahd allies. If you haven't seen the other videos in this series, go check them out. And if you want to hear more of what Lunch Break Heroes has to offer, click the subscribe and the bell down below. You can also get all of our guides in written form over on Patreon for just as little as $1. You download these things, keep them forever. They're yours. Go check that out. If you don't want to, totally fine. Come back here and watch our next video.